10 Pantoja versus Asakura is this weekend, and for this card, I'll be giving you my full card breakdowns. If you're an MMA fan, I say this is one of those cards where you actually have to sit down and watch the whole thing. There is some kind of mid fights in between, like randomly a Crone Gracie in the middle of the main card, but other than that, I think this is probably one of the deepest cards the UFC has ever put on, where the early prelims look like it could be like the main card for like a fight night. It's pretty crazy. Pantoja is defending against Asakura, who came over from a random promotion no one heard about. They showed a bunch of knee highlights and elbow highlights, so I don't think anyone's complaining too much because like the flyweight division is so ass that it's just like get some excitement in here. So I'm just gonna be telling you my picks for this card. Let's just hop into it. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Brzeski. I'm gonna have the same opinion as pretty much everyone else in this fight. Kennedy Nzechukwu is a light heavyweight going up to heavyweight, and the thing about this matchup that I think is very underrated for him is that he's facing a guy who, in Lucas Brzeski, who is kind of similar to like Kennedy Nzechukwu in ways. He's kind of a slimmer archetype. He's taller. He doesn't have as much power, but he's kind of faster, quote unquote, for heavyweight. But this is the thing about these European heavyweights. Like, I know Poland's not too obscure of a country, but you always see these heavyweights like from fucking Esplogania, and you'll be like, where the fuck, like, how the fuck are they in the UFC? How are they even out of their country? Like, they don't even have internet there probably. But I just think that these European guys are taking advantage of their good frame and just like being tall and stuff to just take advantage of all these fat guys on the regional scene, and then eventually end up in the UFC heavyweight division. Lucas Brzeski, he won against Walter Walker, who was gasping for air by round 2, which is just not a good sign. He got cut right after that. Getting in Nzechukwu, he showed time and time again he can kind of withstand a punch, and I don't think Lucas Brzeski is that type of heavyweight to like put him down and like with like one shot and then Kennedy's out because this is heavyweight and not light heavyweight, and he just learned that heavyweight is so it's not like that. Like in reality, Kennedy Nzechukwu is going to be faster and stronger than Lucas Brzeski, and the thing Lucas does in his fights that has his advantage, he's kind of a slower Steven Struve, but he still has a little bit of speed, and that's his advantage, and now he's facing someone who's a lot faster than him, so he's going to get probably TKO'd, I think, round 2. I think a leg kick is going to just like make him immediately just like fucking fall, and then he's just going to tap, because like he's pretty much, I know he's not as tall as fucking Steven Struve, but he's pretty much Johnny Walker with the 6'6" frame. So let's just go on to the next fight. Clay Guida, Chase Hooper. So Clay Guida, his archetype is pretty much the barroom brawler. I love Clay Guida. He is probably the most amount of CTE I've ever, like whenever this guy goes on the mic, I don't even know why they bother to interview him anymore. I'm not going to understand what he's saying. You guys are not going to understand what he's saying. But I'm glad they still have him out here, still making money. Clay Guida flings hooks at you. His stand-up style is kind of just leave your chin in the air and just fucking spam. Like, this is like your archetype for a UFC 4 friend that you play. He's just going to spam the same move over and over. You're going to get annoyed because like it kind of works sometimes. But he's facing Chase Hooper, who, even though he looks soy as fuck and he's like skinny, you can see his rib cage. All I'm saying, Chase Hooper has the jiu-jitsu to fuck Clay Guida up. I'm sorry, Clay Guida, they're giving him kind of easy matchups recently because of his age, and they're giving him the Jim Miller treatment. Chase Hooper is not really the common matchup he's been getting. Chase Hooper's so dominant on the floor. His win against Borishev, everyone saw that shit, but like that was insane. Like he was just like every single position he was dominating. He was like manipulating him in every single way he possibly wanted to. And I know Clay Guida is definitely a better wrestler. He's like definitely stronger, and he can have those explosions to get out of positions. But I just think Chase Hooper's a 10 times better jiu-jitsu practitioner who is going into his prime. And yeah, I think he's looked phenomenal in these past fights. Clay Guida is 5'7", former featherweight, going up to lightweight. And yeah, I know he can. And the thing is, I honestly can't see a world where Clay Guida wins this, but I do think there will be moments where Clay Guida's autism will kick in and he'll not take any damage from Chase Hooper and just fucking fling hooks, and then you'll see a moment where Chase Hooper is a little like conflicted, but then like a double leg will ensue, and then yeah, Chase Hooper's just gonna time a double leg and it'll be over. Clay Guida is not winning this, even though I kind of want him to. He's a silly guy. Like his fights. Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. I'm not going to go too into the weeds with this fight because I hate Max Griffin, but Max Griffin is the next generation Neil Magny. Just whenever I watch him, it doesn't look like he wants to knock out his opponent. It looks like he wants to barely win it. And it's just whenever I watch fighters like that who honestly have the range advantage, the strength advantage, honestly advantage everywhere, but then they just don't use it because they're autistic. It's just pisses me off. Max Griffin, he's fighting Michael Chiesa, who's coming off that dominant win over Ferguson. Any human being in the UFC, not any human being, but you get what I'm saying. Tony Ferguson sucks, so that win really didn't show us much. I do think Max Griffin will win this fight because Michael Chiesa is old. He got manipulated into thinking, and this is fair to be honest, that he's kind of this otherworldly guy now. He's going into his second prime, and even though I do think he'll kind of make it close, I just think that Max Griffin will definitely keep this at range and do the bare minimum to win this fight. But Michael Chiesa is at the age where he can't really impose his will anymore and do the things that he used to do. So Max Griffin will probably just ride out an easy decision. I don't see Michael Chiesa getting this to the floor. He's definitely slower now. His entries will definitely be slower. And Max Griffin doesn't leave himself vulnerable for takedowns. He's Neil Magny reincarnated. What can I say? Michael Chiesa is huge for this division. Or is it just Max Griffin's midget? I thought he was taller than this, to be honest. But, I do see Max Griffin winning this fight just off of age, speed, and just overall athleticism. And I think after round 2, Michael Chiesa is going to be pretty tired. We only saw him in round 1 of that, fucking fight with whoever that name is. Alright, Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. This fight... 1 second. Alright, we're back. So, this fight, Cody Durden, he fights pretty blue-collared, I kind of fuck with it. He's pretty intense guy. Every single post-fight interview, he's about to cry 3 times. He's in between this, rage cry, and he's, talking about all of his haters, and even though no one has heard of Cody Durden, even though I'm a hardcore, I've heard of him, but... Anyways, Joshua Van, I think he's going to probably ride out this fight. I think it will be really close. I do think Cody Durden's going to have success in the takedown category. I know Joshua Van's a midget, so that makes it easier for him to step takedowns. But Cody Durden, I think, is his dog, and he's just going to, impose his will so much where he'll eventually just, get a bunch of takedowns. I don't think he'll be able to hold down Joshua Van, though. So I do think this will be a close fight. I do think Joshua Van will have success on the feet and just probably get a knockdown round 2 or 3. He'll definitely get going round then. That's what he does always. And after watching his last fight, I'm kind of trusting that he can go through the fire a little bit more. And Cody Durden's not this Charles Johnson type where he's this sharpshooter where he can catch you. So Joshua Van, I know he's a midget, but you got to trust. Cody Durden is just, I don't know. He's really blue. The thing about Cody Durden, which I appreciate, he works hard. He's in the gym, probably putting in more hours than anyone. I think he fights out a top team. He's fighting every single training part. You do not want to be this guy's teammate. He's doing everything in his power to be a UFC champion. The problem is, I just don't think he has that much skill or that much dominance really. Or can I be fair? Cody Durden, kind of mid on the feet. Whenever you watch him, it's kind of just winging hooks, and it's just kind of I was watching his last fight against, who was it? It wasn't his last fight, but it was Bruno Silva, which he lost to, and he just lost to a more technical guy who kept it really straight and kept his shots clean, and Cody Durden just kind of walked into one with a spam takedown, and he's just I don't know. This wasn't really the best review of this fight, but Cody Durden, I just don't like the look of him. He's always really salty in his press fight interviews. And Joshua Van, even though it's scary to bet on him, you should do it. I should get on with this fucking video. This is about to be 50 minutes long, bro. Eric Anders, Chris Weidman. Eric Anders is definitely going to win this fight. I know everyone's saying, Chris Weidman looked really good in that Bruno Silva fight. Even though Bruno Silva, in his past, 3 performances, has, had piss poor, just, feel bad for me, performances. Like, it's kind of pathetic what he's done recently, and everyone's like holding that win in such high regard. Even though he got that TK, it was pretty back and forth. It wasn't like he was dominating him out of the water and he was like getting knockdowns and stuff. It was a tit for tat kickboxing match where Chris Weidman was kind of showing his age, even though that was kind of like the best performance he could possibly pull off. Eric Anders is not as stupid, hopefully, as Bruno Silva. I just think his athleticism and just overall strength will just like make him able to like knock his ass out. And this extra like not weight cut, I feel like Eric Anders is gonna have a field day with, just the 160 catch weight. I just think that his power and just overall not being Chris Weidman is gonna win him this fight. Chris Weidman is like, he looks like Stipe at this point. They were sitting together in that Nina drama interview or whatever, chopping it up like old like retirement home like pals, and I just think I like him on the UFC pre-show or whatever that is. I think he should stay there. He's pretty funny, and I think the more CTE he takes on these fights, the worse his performance there will be. So, yeah, stick to commentary, Chris. I think Eric Anders is winning. I'm gonna make it a tradition. We're burping every fight. Randy Brown, Brian Battle. Brian Battle's a dog. If you didn't, I know you didn't. But if you watch my prospects videos, I was let's chill out. I was very interested in Brian Battle as a prospect, but I just like really didn't trust his like wrestling all too much after that Fakhretdinov fight. And I just think I was really trepidatious, but I put him on my best prospects list, hoping he was going to beat Kevin Gisette. That guy's out of the city kickboxing with Israel Adesanya, so I was really nervous. He beat the shit out of that guy, just had an absolute dogfight. And the thing that I trust now with Brian Battle after seeing that is that he's going to be able to take a punch. He did get knocked down by Renat, but I just think Brian Battle is just going to be able to outdog Randy Brown, who, even though Randy Brown's kind of a sharpshooter who's long, I think that he's kind of, like, not soy. Like, I got to stop saying that. But he doesn't really have, like, strength. Like, I know that Muslim Salikov KO was pretty cool, but in a lot of Randy Brown's fights, he needs, like, kind of a stationary target, like a punching bag, to be able to, like, land his shots. If they're moving, like I was watching the Ezekiel Dos Santos fight back, and if they're moving using head movement, which Brian Battle's an amazing boxer, he's going to be able to get inside. Randy Brown is, like, has a hard time finding his shots, and I just think Brian Battle is going to be able to find the chin of Randy Brown. I do have a little, like, trepidation with Brian Battle eating shots. Like, I feel like, I don't know if Randy Brown has this, like, otherworldly power. I saw that knockout with Muslim, and it was a good knockout, but I just, like, think it's, like, way easier to KO a guy who's, like, standing at range, letting you play your game. Like, Brian Battle's going to make it a war. Randy Brown is not going to be able to go out of the fire. So, Brian Battle's winning. Now, this fight, I discussed it a lot with my homies. A lot of people are hyping up Aljo. This is the thing, guys. Aljamain Sterling, coming from a lower weight class. I think a lot of people are expecting this, like, faster guy who's going to be way better on the feet. And on the ground, it's going to be pretty much even. But Aljamain's going to be able to hold him in positions because Movsar was getting submitted by Diego Lopez. And I just think Aljamain Sterling, when looking at him, in the bantamweight division, the thing that he used to his advantage was his strength. His speed was always okay. Like, it wasn't, like, a liability in his game, but Aljo was definitely always the slower guy in the bantamweight division. He was getting caught by Peter Yan, and he did have some few body kicks that were solid and, like, some moments, but I just think Aljamain Sterling's overall just, like, speed is just, like, not as hyped up as it's, like, supposed to be. And he's coming from bantamweight. I think that's what a lot of people are counting on. And Movsar Evloev, I just think his Dagestani wrestling is just going to fucking destroy Aljo. Like, I don't think it'll be that interesting, but I just think Movsar's grappling, he's going to be able to outstrength him because he's taller. He's not taller, but he's bigger, in my opinion. And he's able to just manipulate his opponents better. Whenever I watch Movsar and his, like, training videos, I was watching his training video with Peter Yan. I know this shouldn't be my deciding factor, but that kind of was, like, the icing on the cake. I just think I was watching the Movsar versus Peter Yan video, and he was just manipulating every position. Peter Yan was getting slammed, and I just think that when watching back Aljamain Sterling's fights against Peter Yan, he was getting dominated at some points by Yan in the grappling department, which is his thing, and he's not able really to get out of that position as well as you would expect. And now you're facing a bigger Dagestani who this is primarily his game. So, I don't think it's the best idea for Aljo. I think he should have probably I think any other opponent in the featherweight division he would have a solid chance against, like in the top 10. But I think Movsar is just his worst matchup. I mean, Movsar was knocking down Arnold Allen on the feet. I think people are misconceding that Aljo is going to be this different guy, on the feet, and it's just going to be a complete mismatch. But Aljo, coming off of all those surgeries, the Sean O'Malley shit, Movsar is going to have a field day. He's way faster than Aljo on the feet. He's, in my opinion, way stronger than Aljo. I don't see a route where Aljo's winning. This is honestly my lock of the card. What's the odds? Okay, that makes sense, yeah. I mean, yeah, Movsar is going to win, so that's my take on that. Themba Gorimbo, Vicente Luque. The thing about this fight, I see a lot of people picking Themba. Themba's a good fighter, and I think he's able to impose his will against competition that can't really do anything about it. But the thing about Vicente Luque, he's coming off of a bunch of losses. I think a lot of people are just saying, oh, he's washed because of that last Joaquin Buckley fight. But I kind of like picking fighters that are coming off of embarrassing performances. I just think Vicente Luque is going to be able to keep it tight. He's going to be able to keep his hands up, and I know he's kind of flat-footed, he's kind of trudgy, but Themba Gorimbo in his last few performances, I used to think he was a super dangerous guy with any punch would take you down, but when watching him recently, it's kind of manipulate your opponent, trying to get going, and I just think Vicente Luque won't let you kind of work yourself into the fight. I think Vicente will impose his will. Themba, even though Vicente is flat-footed, Themba Gorimbo is just not really. I don't know. He does have good lateral movement. He's going to be able to get away from Vicente Luque's shots. I just think Vicente's head movement, and I don't think Themba has that good of power. I mean, watching his last fights, I thought that Daniel Rodriguez KO was crazy. But in every other fight, he's landing clean shots or not going down. I think I overrated him in the past. And Vicente, I know he's coming off of a bunch of KOs. That Joaquin Buckley thing was embarrassing, but you got to give him a break, and he's coming back with vengeance right now. And I just don't think he'll be able to get. I don't think he'll get chinned. That's the thing. So, yeah. Dominic Reyes, Anthony Smith. Man. Anthony Smith is probably going to retire after this fight. It's going to be sad. And the thing about this fight is that Dominic Reyes is going to make it embarrassing. Anthony Smith is so bad. I don't know how, and I know this is not controversial, but when watching Anthony Smith win fights, it's crazy to me how it's crazy to me how he's able to get these wins, because it seems like they're trying to find ways to lose when they fight Anthony Smith. When Vitor Petrino was putting himself into a guillotine against Anthony Smith, it was just it was unbelievable how this guy keeps on picking up wins just based off his opponent's retardism, because they're winning most of the fight. He's fighting Dominic Reyes, who's going to keep it on the feet, who's going to chop at the legs, and is going to knock out Anthony Smith. There's really there's nothing really to say about this fight. Anthony Smith, just look at his milk frame right now, bag of milk body right here. That shit, he's enjoying himself up in the commentary booth, and we can't blame him. But Dominic Reyes is kind of pissed off about that. You always see those interviews with Dominic Reyes, he's still salty, he's still kind of got that fire, he's still trying to prove people wrong. Anthony Smith is well, at least I tried, guys, and even though I wasn't the better guy today, and even though I'm not championship material, I'm gonna work every day to get. And it's just, I think Dominic Reyes, way better spot. Watching them fight, Dominic Reyes is a good fighter. Anthony Smith is okay on the ground, but he can't really get a takedown. You have to take him down for him to show it. But when he's on the ground, he's good. But Dominic Reyes, you don't, look at the odds. Honestly, I would expect worse, to be honest. But Nate Landwehr versus Doo-Ho Choi. Nate Landwehr is a fucking tank. Nate the fucking Train in the UFC. I just think he's a marauder, and once he gets punched and knocked down for the first time, he's going to be able to get up and it's it's weird. It's like you need to shut this guy's CNS off for a second for him to like become a good fighter, and it's not good for his future. But I just think Duo Choi, he doesn't really have like that. He has power, but he showed many times like Cub Swanson fight like fucking, even though he knocked out Bill Alger, that was a good KO. I just think Nate Landwehr is going to be able to withstand Duho Choi's shots. If he's able to withstand like David Onama just like 1-2 over and over to the skull, like I don't think Duho Choi is like really going to flatline him. And after the first knockdown where Nate's hearing the crowd and he's fucking like on top of him and he's fucking waving his hands in the air like the little silly guy that he is, I think he's going to win the fight. I think it'll be a decision. I see a lot of people picking KO, and I get it because, like, they have, like, 15 knockdowns per fight. But I just think this will be, like, fight of the... And that's not controversial. This will be fight of the year, and it will probably go to decision. Because I just think there'll be a bunch of knockdowns. It'll be just a dogfight. Nate Landwehr will ride out a decision, and if he doesn't, I'll be so sad. Because I know Duo Choi is kind of fun. He has kind of entertaining performances, but... Nate Landwehr is just that guy. If you really want to watch, like, good fights, like, underground good fights that you haven't watched before, just go to Nate Landwehr's, like, fight history and just watch any one of those. David Onama fight, like, was, like, genuinely autistic how, like, good it was. Like, it was just a knockdown every 10 seconds. Anyways, Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Am I crazy? Hear me out, guys. Kron Gracie with this fantastic jiu-jitsu. Have you heard about Kron Gracie's jiu-jitsu? Now, I'm not even going to talk about this fight. Can you just imagine, though, if Kron Gracie wins this fight and is a ranked featherweight contender after 2 losses, dude? And I know they put this fight together just... Like, I'm honestly, like, a lot of people are like, what is this doing on the main card? This is kind of, like, the closest thing we have nowadays to, like, a freak show fight. Like, Kron Gracie's, like... Watching him do his really, like, roly-poly thing on the floor is really funny to me. Like, I don't really mind it. Like, and he's facing Bryce Mitchell, who's going to be able to get him out of there. He's not going to be, like, Jake Pauling, like, making him go all 3 rounds. Kron Gracie, I just want to see him win. Just, like, see the MMA world just, like, go fucking ballistic. I do think Bryce Mitchell might do some... Like, the thing is, though, is it crazy? What if Bryce Mitchell took Kron Gracie down? Do you really think Kron Gracie, oh, it's over? Bryce Mitchell, even though, like... And I'm not, like, undermining Bryce Mitchell's, like, wrestling game. He's obviously dominant. But you really can't see a world where a Gracie gets a, like, fucking choke on the floor. Like, Bryce Mitchell's bread and butter. I know got the knockdowns on Barbosa, but that was because of the takedown threat. Bryce Mitchell's not this otherworldly striker where he's just going to, like, go out there and, like, supremely box you, and Kron Gracie's going to get messed up on the feet. Even though he probably will. Kron Gracie is awful, but all I'm saying, if it goes to the floor, I see a world where Kron Gracie does, like, this weird Gracie leg lock jiu-jitsu fucking armbar neck crank, and he somehow wins the fight, and he's a ranked featherweight. And if that happens, I'll be giggling. And I'm excited. Am I the only one? I guess, but y'all gotta have some fun. Cyril Gane versus Volkov. Volkov, coming off of his wins. The thing about Volkov is that he will only beat guys with no, the thing is, I can't really say that now because Sergey Pavlovich is a good, solid boxer. Like, you can't really say he's only beating guys with, like, not much talent. Like, it was that until he beat Sergey. I just think Volkov, in this fight, when you look at it stylistically, is going to have to ride the outside again. That's where Cyril Gane likes to be. And I just think any kickboxing fight against Cyril Gane, I'm going to be honest, if it was just pure kickboxing, I'm picking Cyril Gane in a kickboxing match against Tom Aspinall. And I know, what? And I know the KO chance is there, definitely. But I just think Cyril Gane's head movement and just being on the outside is the best in the UFC. I think his leg kicks will fuck up Volkov. I know the first fight was pretty competitive, but I just think Cyril Gane, he's kind of showed, like, no power, but, like, you don't really need power against Volkov. You can kind of just ride out decision. His cardio's gotten better. It's only 3 rounds. Volkov doesn't really have much danger. You can kind of just, like, keep it in the outside and, like, litigate your attack. and that's how he wins. Like, that's how he beats Sergey, and I don't know. You're not beating Cyril Gane in a kickboxing match. Hopefully this doesn't bite me in the ass. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Machado Gary. You know. Okay, we're still recording. You know, man, I'm tempted by Ian Machado Gary here. I was watching Ian's fight against fucking Kevin Holland. No, I'm retarded. Who the fuck did I watch? It was Ian Gary versus Jeff Neal, the black. Sorry, I mixed up my black guys. But yeah, I was watching Ian Machado Gary versus Jeff Neal, and even though it was a shitty performance, and I know it was kind of boring, Ian Machado Gary did everything in his power to like win, and he did win, just like keeping it at range. And I don't know, dude. I do think Shavkat will win this fight, but Ian Gary will definitely, in the first few rounds, be able to keep it at range. And if he just keeps it composed, the thing about Ian Gary, I feel like I know he like always has this like aura where he's like, oh, like, I'm never in my head, I'm the most confident. Like in the MVP fight, I just kind of saw like this kind of scared, tentative dude who didn't really know his game plan, what his game plan was. And I know MVP is a fucking nightmare on the feet, and Shavkat's way different, but I just think, I don't know. I think if Ian Gary's going to get in his head, I don't think he's going to be the same striker that he was against, like, these, like, Song Kanon guys where he's, like, getting in this flow state. I think he's going to be kind of nervous. I think Shavkat's going to be on his, like, retarded, this is for, Czechostan or whatever. And I think Shavkat will get pieced up on the feet if Ian Gary is chilling, but I don't know. I think that the takedown threat and just like the overall power of Shavkat will eventually get Gary caught. And I know that's the same opinion as everyone else. But I mean, it's the truth. I mean, Ian Gary, he hasn't really showed off like that like crazy power in like the top level yet. And I just like, I don't know if I can trust it against Shavkat, even though I do think Ian Gary will have a field day if he's chill. And yeah, it's a tough fight to pick because it's just like depending on how these, and it's like, it's just, who fucking cares? I can just like bust a nut on the screen and whatever it lands, that's who I pick, and it's just the same odds. So yeah, I'm picking Shavkat, but Gary will win on the feet. Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Pantoja's gonna get the win, and he's gonna get a TKO round 3. You can just fucking see it. Kai Asakura, he's pretty good. You know, I was watching his highlights, and, you know, pretty good knees, pretty good elbows. But the thing is, he's getting this against sub-tier competition, and he hasn't been against a good wrestler like Alexander Pantoja. He's only gotten chill matchups where he's fighting other strikers who are slower and worse than him, and he can take advantage of that, and he always does. And now he's facing, in his UFC debut, a crotch sniffer wrestler who spams takedowns and is able to hold you down at flyweight, which is pretty impressive. And I just don't see Kai Asakura getting up, and I just think he'll get laid on. And I honestly see like Pantoja like getting comfortable and being able to like do something. I don't know if it's a sub, I don't know if it's a TKO, but I don't know. I just see Pantoja being able to like submit him or something, like TKO him, because Kai Asakura, he's really never been tested against a good wrestler, and this is his first, I think, training camp with like intense wrestling. And even though I do think he'll win on the feet, I see a lot of people being like, oh yeah, that takedown threat's gonna leave himself open, and I do think that is the case. But I don't know. I just see Kai Asakura on the feet, like just from his highlights, being way smarter and just be able to counter way better than Pantoja. Pantoja's kind of, you've seen Pantoja fight, like he's kind of on that drickish shit where he's like just flinging stuff with his chin in the air, and it's like, it's chill because it works, because he's like, you know, he has a good chin. But Kai Asakura. But Pantoja's winning this. So that is the video, Pantoja versus Asakura, and hope you guys enjoyed. Fuck, has this video like been an hour? If anyone watches this fully, bro, I want you to comment. What do I want you to comment? Say like, Dang. That's crazy what you said at 55-minute mark. And then don't put the link there, just like make yeah. So fuck yeah. So I'll see you guys later.